Historically, humankind has incontrovertibly been an abysmal failure, exploiting and abusing the beautiful blue marble that is spiraling through space. At best, dismissing, and at worst, destroying many of the life forms we share this planet with. On a national level, in 2008, America elected a young, optimistic, dreamer, and visionary who pointed the way to a kinder, gentler paradigm of existence, while receiving tremendous amounts of, at sometimes, mean-spirited opposition from Congress, all the while maintaining his dignity. Well, the pendulum swung as pendulums do. Introducing a time of darkness and despair by choosing a vile man to lead the country. A man who remains unapologetic about his violence, who appears to be unwilling or maybe unable to rise to the mantle bestowed upon him as the leader of the free world. Globally, fortunately, with some glaring exceptions, we've done a little better. Now I'd like to look at failure on a personal level. I failed at all roles that I've been called upon by birth to play. I've failed as a father, a son, a brother, a husband, and a friend. I failed in the sense that society, my culture, society expects of me. I failed at doing the things, doing well, the things that are expected, are expected of me in my parlance, it's more that I failed at the human doings. I failed to be a good actor and do a good job in the roles, the doings that my accidental birth into the culture. I found myself. I could have done a better job in all those aspects. But I can achieve some sense of condolences by understanding that I failed in my actions as the human doing. But as far as my role as a human being, I've been adequate. I can be a husband. I can be a brother. I can be a father. I can be a friend. Just being those things should be enough. So I haven't fulfilled the expectations of my society, culture, to their expectations or their standards, in that I've never done the things the way it was wanted of me to do. So I joined the world. I'm responsible for my bit of failure of our species, the species of humankind. Failure. I accept and acknowledge my role, my contributions to the failure. But having said all this, having recognized what's so, how is one to navigate this tricky life? Navigate as opposed to acting. The most obvious answer, and the answer that I found, was to become a warrior, to be prepared to fight the doom and gloom in which we are sometimes trapped. A warrior with a different arsenal, not bows and arrows, bullets and guns, replacing these things with more constructive techniques available to one and all. The first and foremost is leading the life that Buddha laid down for us in his eightfold noble truths. A guide to living that's 2,000 plus years old, but remains to be just as relevant in 2018 as it was in his day. So a model of living is laid out for us that we can do our best to adhere to incorporate until it becomes part of us. And the next weapon, if you want to see it that way, in our arsenal is meditation. Meditation meditation practice will help to clear away the cobwebs that are separating us from what's real. Light up the fog. And lead us to a spiritual inquiry, a spiritual practice that will develop us ultimately right back, smack dab in the middle of who and what we've always been. So again, the practice, the guidance for living provided by the Buddha many years ago. The 8 Noble Truths should be studied, reviewed daily along with a meditation practice. To strive for the state of equanimity. To arrive at the state of equanimity. But another element, another tool in our arsenal that we must utilize, ultimately have to utilize, is surrender. Sweet surrender. And surrender has enough elements that it bears some rehashing of what surrender truly means, what it represents. First, we have to release any misguided thinking of who we are. Who we think we are is seldom who we really are. And it's only through surrender. Our ego, by definition, is vain. Not only vain, but grasping. It's like the old story about the crab. It's one of my favorite stories that a fisherman shared with me once. I'm interested in fishermen, and even though I love fish, I know that I watch them because this is more than just a hobby like trophy hunting. This is about feeding their families. So I watched this Hawaiian man on a bridge over an estuary. And he was raising the crab traps that he had set the day before. This was dawn. And he comes and sets the traps at dusk. Dawn and dusk. Magic time in the animal kingdom and magic time in my life. As he reeled this trap up to 50 or 60 feet to the bridge where he was standing, he removed the crabs and just casually tossed them in a bucket behind him, without hardly looking. Just tossed them in the bucket. And the bucket was not that deep. And had a lot of crabs in there. So I asked him out of ignorance and curiosity, sometimes a troublesome combination, but often enlightening. What keeps the crabs from escaping, from crawling out? They're all piled on top of each other. And you don't even look. Aren't you worried that you lose some of your catch? Your hard-fought catch, for that matter. Aren't you worried? I said, no, I don't worry. The crabs will pull each other back. And with that wisdom came a lifelong understanding that human nature wasn't much different. We're just like the crabs. If you try to escape, get out of the maya, get out of the illusion, the rest of people, well-meaning people, well-intentioned, I guess, will pull you back down. So this is an aspect of not only that has solution through surrender. You have to surrender to the fact that people will attempt to pull you back. They really don't like others to make progress. But that's one of our limitations. Another one of our limitations as a species, instead of being supportive and creating a supportive environment where surrender, spiritual inquiry, the path is supported, promoted even by the culture. So the surrender to this fact that nobody's really going to understand, or if you get some understanding, if you meet a fellow traveler along your path, consider yourself quite fortunate, because the condition of mankind is to pull us back like crabs. Pull us back in their misery. And another enemy to surrender that you will encounter on a much more personal level and more immediately, and ultimately more tragically, potentially tragically, is your own ego. Your ego will try to suppress your inquiry into the hollow, fictional nature of what the ego really is. Meditation, as I mentioned, for me personally, has helped to tame my thinking, tame my mind. At the same time, it's been able to discard the ego, my ego, as anything more than a charade of pretense. While offering a glimpse of clarity keeping me on the hook with little tastes of clarity. Perhaps even tantalizingly wonder if I indeed will reach the point of absolute clarity, absolute stillness, where the mind has been effectively silenced. As you must be aware of by now, I have two problems with this ultimate silencing of my mind and my thinking. Number one is, it's a puzzle to me that we're given these fine instruments only to have to overcome through suppression, through ignoring, overcoming any potential usefulness they may have. As you know, I've compromised with mine and given it tasks, which many times it is done admirably, successfully, and I might add, it happily. It likes to be tasks. So ultimately my question becomes, why are we given this fine instrument? Why are we just empty inside? Why are we just one level above being brain dead? Why isn't our brain just a tool for promoting, allowing our existence? And the second is more an observation of a realistic observation. Part of my personal surrender is that it appears that my mind will always be noisy unless tasked, and then it gets so involved in its duties that it gives me some peace of mind. All these have been made real by a dedicated meditation practice. With the ultimate goal of reaching equanimity. This has been the state of mind, the state of being that has held a lot more pull than either clarity or still. Stillness, complete and utter stillness, the ultimate clarity. Instead, they've been like precious jewels that are all the more important to me by their rarity. They go in that category with bliss. Bliss is available, readily available, if you just know how to tune in. To tune into the station, to find the frequency. It's there. So these three crown jewels, bliss, clarity, and stillness. Or three things that keep me vital, keep me working at spiritual acquisition. Motivate me and reward me at the same time on my spiritual journey. So once we've reached, through following the Eightfold Path, the Noble Truths, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, Buddha's guidance, coupled with meditation, and then surrender. Ultimately, surrender takes on another guise. When the spiritual pursuer, whoever it is that you believe you are, upon awakening, or upon initial non-abiding awakening, this spiritual being, this spiritual person on a quest to find out ultimately what's real. The one who climbs the mountain, the one who fights the battles with the arsenal they have at hand, as I've suggested. This will ultimately have to be surrendered, leaving you with the nothing / everything paradigm. And it's through the discipline of a warrior, discipline of which includes meditation, surrender, the consistency necessary for success, leads you to the ultimate surrender, sweet surrender, when nothing indeed separates or divides you from what is. At this point, you become what I call a peaceful warrior, with ultimate equanimity as your reward and constant companion. This is a state, perhaps the only state, as I can see it, that can be maintained with consistency. Maybe it's ultimately the only thing that can be in our control of the treasures, of the jewels, of the rewards of spiritual inquiry, your spiritual quest to wake up, to remember who you always have been, and while recognizing that who you always have been is familiar and known to you, then you're left to your own devices to enjoy the fruits of that equanimity truly brings. You can find the peace and happiness that many of us have always seemed to strive for, but which had remained elusive. Peace and happiness, not a bad way to live, not a bad reward for balance, for practicing equanimity. In this state, the adventure continues. You, along with attainment of this state, equanimity, peace, happiness, along with attaining these realities, these conditions that are available, that lie within your ability to control and find and seek out. Along with these rewards of brief glimpses of bliss, brief periods of stillness, brief periods of clarity, bring responsibility. And that responsibility is to bring as much light for everyone to enjoy and benefit from as is possible.